have no snacks. I just ate, so story time, chit chat, or whatever you want to call it. So let me tell you. I can't even talk. What? What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tiffany, hence the name of my channel, Hey Nurse Tiff. But over here we just don't talk about nursing stuff. This is our life journey, like we're getting to know each other. So on today's video I will be talking about my nursing journey, I guess you can call it. My journey overall, where I started from and how I got to this point. And I think this will explain why I'm so big, so big on positive vibes, being a motivation to other people, and just always telling people, like, never give up on your dreams. It doesn't matter if it's nursing, business, whatever you want to do, you can do anything as long as you put your mind to it. And I feel as though I'm a living testimony, and I'm gonna tell y'all too what I had to go through to get here and keep a smile on my face. So if you're interested, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit your post notification so you can know when I do post a video. And you know, join the fam. You know, it's a couple of us right now, but I'm just wanting my channel to grow. So support your girl, because I'm gonna support y'all all the way through like a good friend should. Okay, so anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so where do I start? Or how far do I go back? First of all, let me tell y'all how I came up with the idea to even record this video. And I was like, okay, boom, I have this idea. So I had saw a video, and I watched videos about like journaling. I started bullet journaling a little bit, and I always carried a journal. Like, my favorite movie is Poetic Justice with Janet Jackson, and how she wrote in her book, and she had her poems and everything. I was just always fascinated with that, and you know, I could always like put my words together. Like, I loved writing. I kind of stopped that for a while, and I got back into it, but I always keep a journal. So I had saw a video where a girl was doing like her vision board, her manifestation, her daily affirmations, and so on and so forth. And she basically did something where she was like writing in her journal and speaking to her future self. And when I began to, like, you know, try to begin to write, I kind of started, and this is how my brain works, I don't know why, but I started reflecting on my past self, because I was like, in order for me to speak to my future self, I had to look back on all the things that I've overcame or been through, you know, of course, to remember the learned lesson, so I could be speaking to my future self to say, like, hey, this happened, you don't want to go that route, this is where we're at right now, moving forward. I'm kind of an overthinker. That's just me. Like, I plan the process and go through everything. And I'm sorry if you hear my kids in the background, because they just were playing outside after school or class or whatever, and I was like, y'all need to take a bath or a shower. But I told them to keep it down so I could record this while it's fresh, and you know. So where can I start at? So I graduated high school when I was 17. My birthday is September the 18th. So, you know, you normally graduate like June or whatever. So I was 17. All throughout middle school, high school, whenever we could start taking like advanced classes, I guess, I always like was in honors classes. I know, like, as time went on, like, I know my younger sister, she just turned 21. When she was in high school, they could take like college courses and everything, but we didn't have that I know of. I don't think we had that option when I was in high school. So I took all these advanced classes, you know, I guess it would be like AP or honors classes or whatever, all through middle school and high school. So when I got to you know, 12th grade and everything. You take all your tests and everything like that, and this is the time that you're supposed to be like applying for colleges, preparing for college, so on and so forth. So my family dynamics is a little bit different, I guess you could say. My mom had me at 19, my dad was 21. They never married or anything like that, but you know how they say it takes a village. So that's how I look at my childhood. Like, everybody stepped in and did something, but I basically stayed with my dad's mom while my mom and dad worked or whatever, coming up since like an early age. So being that my mom and my dad never went to college, they were basically like the worker bees. It was just that lack of knowledge as far as the plan. Like, I was ready, of course, to be like, hey, you know, what do I do next? Like, I'm so used to being busy and in the books or working. I had a couple jobs throughout high school and so on and so forth. So I'm like, what's next? Like, everybody else is like excited and preparing, and you know, their parents are involved, and I was just like, okay, like, we will take a little break and see what happened. Around that time, I also, I don't know, I guess it had to be 12th grade, maybe in the midst of all of that. I always thought about going into the military. I always thought about going into the military, and I did take 3 years of junior ROTC, but it was Air Force. So at some point in time, I do remember going to enlist in the Navy, because I'm in the state of Virginia. Navy is big out here. So I enlisted. I never even thought about like the Army or anything at that time. And the Air Force, I didn't even look into that. But I think my Air Force ROT teacher, you know how sometimes they send like the recruiters to the school to see if you're interested. So I said I would talk to somebody. So I was just like, you know what, I can go into the military, and eventually they can pay for my school. Like, I don't know about loans or anything, but they can eventually pay for my school. So that was my thought process. I was everywhere, but at this time I'm 17, still trying to come up with a plan. So I enlisted into the Navy. I remember going through the process as far as the PT test, going to the recruiter station, my recruiter taking me up to the headquarters to get like sworn in. Even before that, I remember my mom was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because I remember it was raining, and all my parents came to my grandmother's house, and the recruiter is there. I'm signing some papers. She had to sign for me as well because I was underage. Like, you sure this and that? And I'm like, yes, like, I'm ready to go. Like, I was always down for whatever, but that was benefiting me. So I was just like, you know, it's gonna help in the long run. I can do this, whatever. So she was like, are you sure? Because when I signed on this dotted line, like, you can't get your life back, basically. And I'm like, okay. But I was smart about signing like contracts or whatever, because I was like, listen, I want to try it out. So I know 3 years or 2 years can go by fast. So I think I picked okay, let's backtrack one more time, because I am kind of rambling, just reminiscing, but I'm gonna get to it. So at the point that I was taking my tests and everything, and looking at, you know, they have like the college fairs and stuff like that. So I think I went to a couple of those, and then I saw I don't know if it was Bowie State. It was a school in Maryland, but I know the main thing that I was looking at was the Johns Hopkins University of Medicine. So I had my heart set on like going to Maryland. they had explained the program where, like, you know, you do your prereqs and then, you know, you apply for med school, so on and so forth. And they had like a program looking at. So I've always been into, like, been interested in the healthcare field. So yes, I was thinking about going to college in Maryland. That didn't pan out, again, because, like, the knowledge deficit of going through the process, and I was kind of scrambling after graduating, and that didn't work out. But I had enlisted into the military, going back to that situation. My mom signed for me. I swore in once. I didn't know you can swear in twice, and that's basically like when you raise your hand, you're up at the headquarters raising your hand, saying the whole speech and swearing in or whatever to leave off. So my recruiter had okay, my job was a hospital corpsman. So again, I was excited about that. Like, you know, I'm gonna get my foot in, I'm gonna be in the military, I'm gonna have some benefits, like, I'm good, I can do this. So my job was hospital corpsman. So for some reason at this time, they weren't, like, shipping off people quickly, like, and I don't think I asked the right questions, because I'm gonna tell y'all later on what happened later on in life. But basically they told me to have my bags packed, and I'm sorry, I'm looking up here and I'm supposed to be looking up here. I mean, looking at y'all. It's a habit, I'm learning, y'all. But anyways, I didn't ask the right questions, but all I remember was I had bought all my stuff, you know, let my family know, you know, that I was being enlisted or was enlisted. I had my paperwork and everything, but I just had to wait on orders, or like a ship date or whatever the case may be. I remember getting my hair cut and everything, like going through the whole process, having my little bag. So they were just like, look, you need to be ready to leave whenever. So I'm like, okay. I didn't really look for a job then per se. I just chilled for a little while, like had fun after school, going out with my sisters and my friends and stuff like that. I had a car, like 11th grade. So, you know, I was an adult, but I wasn't. I was still learning, like, throughout the process. But anyways, long story short, with the Navy, they never shipped me out. Like, months went by, and I'm like at a standstill, because I'm like, I don't want to get a job, because, you know, I'm gonna have to just leave abruptly if they say it's time for me to go. Like, I was basically on call waiting for them to call me. So I think I got a job. I ended up getting a job, and I basically called them like, listen, if y'all don't, like, what's gonna happen? Like, I'm kind of changing my mind as far as me wanting to go or whatever the case may be. I kind of changed my mind as far as wanting to go. So what's the process? And so my recruiter had explained to me that if I hadn't sworn in the second time, then they basically can cancel out my contract, or whatever the process was. They could, like, send me a letter saying, like, I no longer want to enlist, blah blah blah. So they did that. So I ended up getting a job at a bank. I think my uncle's wife, she's like an accountant still to this day at the same bank, but she got me a job interview at a local bank where I worked as a clerk there, and it was like my first big girl job. So I went, you know, suit shopping and everything, looking professional in the office. So I worked there for a while. I had my first apartment like at 19 after I got that job, and I stayed there for a while. And then I met my best friend, and her husband basically came to me with an opportunity to move to Georgia. And at this time, you know, I'm young, living my life, learning lessons through relationships and everything. So I just felt like, okay, this is the opportunity to see, you know, somewhere outside of Virginia. Like, yeah, okay, I'm ready. So, you know, I let my family know, even though they really didn't have a say so, you know, or whatever. I was kind of on my own, but my family is very supportive in the things that I want to do. Kind of let me make my mistakes and pick me up if they need me to, so I'm thankful for that. But basically, I went with my best friend and her husband and her kid to Georgia. We moved there. I stayed out there for about 2 years, and when I look back now on that move, I feel like if I would have moved, if I didn't have kids now or like later on, I probably would have still been there. But my mentality was like, I didn't really know myself. I was still learning myself, going through things. And it's a big difference when you learn yourself and you're confident in yourself. Like, at this point, I feel like I could take over the world if I needed to. But, you know, back then you have your self-doubts or whatever. And I'm not a very social person, like go out and just mix and mingle. Like now I probably can, like if I go out somewhere, I feel comfortable going out by myself or whatever the case may be. But I was just very guarded, like in a new environment. And I think if I would have like toughed it out and stayed a little bit longer or had, you know, certain things in order, I could have flourished in Georgia. But I look back now and I know that God had other plans for my life. So when I came back from Georgia, it was kind of a rough situation how that ended, but my dad and my uncle ended up helping me move back and whatever. So when I came back, I think I stayed with my sister. I got another good job, like in the office or whatever. Like I said, I don't really be on the scene like that. Like I would go out with my sisters and everything, but I'm not like a person that lives for the life of the party. So I would just be working overtime, go out and have fun, spend my little money or whatever, treat, you know, my sisters like, you know, it was whatever. So I met my son's father when I came back from Georgia. And then I remember working at, it was like a global banking facility, but I basically worked in collections. So it was like a call center. And I remember one day looking around, I don't know if somebody got caught in the office about being late. And you know, like most of the time I'm like the youngest one in the building, if that. Like it's probably a couple people my age, but you're working with people that are way older than you, you know, with their families and everything. I'm young, I didn't have any kids or anything like that. So I remember looking around like, is this it? Like, what's next? Like, I just got to get a hold of my life and what I really want to do. Like, I feel like I'm at a standstill. And I would have that happen a lot over time. And I remember just being like kind of lost and confused as far as where am I headed next. Like I went to Georgia for 2 years, that didn't work out. I came back, and in these moments when, you know, I'm alone to myself, I always draw closer to God. Like he pulls me back in to let me know something like, hey, I got something better for you, just hold on. So, and that's really like how it be. Like a voice is just like, listen, I got you, girl, just wait on it. So I remember just, you know, praying about it, writing in my journal like what's next. And something told me to quit my job, go to the Army recruiter, and just work something out. So everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I'm just like, look, I prayed about it. This is what he told me to do. Like, I'm done. Like, put in your notice. We out. Let it go and put it in God's hands. So I literally like left my job. I really didn't have any like major bills or anything, like, but I left my job and went to a recruiter and I said, listen, I think my cousin had enlisted and went off the boot camp. So I went to my recruiter and I was like, listen, I need to leave now. Like, what do I need to start the process? I need to leave now. And I want a like an office job or something like that. So I went through the process, the PT test, same thing, same process as far as what I did in the Navy. And went to the, I guess, like, I took the ASVAB, got my scores back, and they were like showing me jobs, like crazy jobs. I was like, no, that's not what I'm interested in. And the recruiter was like, you know, this is the process. My hands kind of tied. They don't have like all these jobs available. It was like jobs on hold or whatever. That's what I remember. So I remember walking into like the head person's office, and I was like, look, I'm ready to go. I need this 42 Alpha MOS, which was Human Resource Specialist. That was the one I had my eye on. Like, I'm there, like, I'm applying for a job that I really want. Like, I'm selling myself. I'm like, listen, this is what I want, this is what I need. And in my head, I'm like, God told me to go. I need to go now. Like, I don't want to have no waiting periods. I did that with the Navy. So this is what I need. I'm literally going in there like, listen. And he showed me, he turned around his computer and he showed me like, these are the jobs that's available, you know, that you can choose from. You know, you scored high enough for X, Y, and Z, but they're just not available. So like, my hands are tied, and I was just like, well, I guess this wasn't the plan then, blah blah blah. So he was like, give me a second. And I don't know where I keep on. Sorry, y'all. And he was like, give me a second. So I don't know what happened. I prayed about it. I was like, listen, like, you got me here. God, like, talk to me now. Like, what's next? Because I thought this was it. So within a few minutes, he called me back into his office. I guess he saw a couple people, called me back in his office. And he sat there and he was like, and I said, yeah, like, my cousin enlisted, we got the same last name. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember him, you know, real good soldier. I hear great things about him now that he's there, so on and so forth. So he picks up his phone, you know, he's sitting on his desk, laid back. He picks up his phone and he said he was calling somewhere like in Kentucky or something, if I remember right. He called, he was just like, basically, I need a favor type stuff. I thought this was just like a business call. So 5-10 minutes pass, he turns his computer back to me and the job is open. Like, he can click on it for me. And I'm like, what? And I was like, listen, thank you so much. I'm ready to go. Just let me know what else. So I walk out smiling, and my recruiter like, what's up? And I said, oh, I got the job I wanted, whatever. He was like, I didn't see it on my listing, you know, that they were looking for that or could offer it to you. And I was like, look, he made a phone call, and I told him, like, this is all I wanted. This is what I want to do. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, we gonna give you a date, blah blah blah, get your stuff ready, I'll give you the list, we gonna finalize the process, get you sworn in, so on and so forth. So I'm like, all right. So then I had to leave and tell well, they already know I was in a process, but you know. So everything finalized. They give me like 2 weeks to leave. And mind you, I was, you know, dating my son's father. So I told him, like, listen, this for me, you know, we still young or whatever. Just kicking it to him real, like, listen, you know, I gotta do what's best for me at the end of the day. So, you know, you could be here or not, whatever the case may be. You know, at the end of the day, you friends. So, went through that process. They gave me my date to leave like in 2 weeks. And I think this was like February. So I think I had to leave like right before Valentine's Day. It was real dramatic now that I think about it. But I think I left maybe like February 12th or something like that. Around that time. I gotta look at my paperwork. But yeah, like February 12th, they put me on a little van. You know, all my family show up. Give everybody a hug. I got my game face on, like, all right, I'm out. Cut my hair again. Wrong decision. Cut my hair again. Got the boot camp. I can't even talk. My mouth is so dry. But got the boot camp. Listen, boot camp, I feel like, I'm gonna tell y'all, my experience in the Army was short-lived, but it was something I really wanted to do. And y'all can probably hear my daggone dog barking. Long story short, with the Army, I went through boot camp because my job that was in South Carolina, Fort Jackson, hot as crap. Like, I almost had a heat stroke in boot camp. Like, I wasn't very athletic, for one. I was in a band. I was in ROTC in high school, so I was not, listen sis, I was not athletic at all. Like, I could hit a sprint if somebody chasing me. I gotta run for my life. But as far as like busting down the push-ups, I just went in there like, alright, I'ma just do what I do. Listen, boot camp bust my tail. Like, boot camp bust your ass, and you know, you get smoked. It's red, white, and blue phase. Like, you can look those videos up. But it really helped me mentally, as far as knowing that I can push through any damn thing. Like, if that's what the purpose was in that short-lived career in the military, listen, I'm thankful. So it just really built me up mentally, physically. It just built my character on top of, you know, who I already am. My sergeants, they love me. I was in leadership positions. All the soldiers hated me. They hated Riddick, okay? They was like, they hated me because my sergeants basically would put me in leadership positions and have me running the ship. And, you know, you have like a whole room full of girls that are hormonal and everything else, missing home. And I just had my game face on, like, listen, I got a whole nother plan that's in process right now. Like, this is what I'm here to do, not to play around. But I made it through boot camp. My family saw me on my graduation. They were very proud. And after boot camp, I think some people got like a little break in between. But since not my duty station, my A school was at the same location. Like, basically, like, once you finish boot camp, that was in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Once you finish boot camp, if I had to go somewhere else for my A school, then some people had like a week break to go home, and then they would fly out or catch a bus to their school. But since mine was there, it was like I was gone. Like, it was like once my family came to my graduation, that was a time for me to see them a couple days or whatever and be free. And then I went straight into my A school, so it seemed like I was gone for like a couple of months or whatever. It seemed longer than that. But graduated, they move you on the base to your A school, and then you're there for some time. Then once you graduate out there, basically you wait for your orders. So check this out. So So they said that we could check this website for our duty station. So we would check it. It'll say like no data, no data. So when we got closer to our time, it's people start updating. Like some people was like, I got Hawaii, I got you know, this place, that place. So I'm like, okay. So I checked mine, and I think this was the first time something posted, and it said Germany. And I know my grandfather, I remember my grandfather had was in the army for some time, and way back in the day, and I think he was in Germany. Like we had pictures where he was in Germany. So I forgot how I contacted family. Like we had little cell phones, but it wasn't like as high tech right now. Like we couldn't do FaceTime or nothing like that. But I remember emailing my family like, hey, my duty station is Germany. Like, you know, I had to let it soak in. Like, I'm really going to be going somewhere. Like, it's about to jump off. Oh no, God had other plans, sis. So I think I checked it like 2 weeks later, like when we were almost done or something like that. Girl, my thing popped up, Fort Eustis. I remember Googling it, and it said Virginia. I was like, I know I'm not going back. What are we doing here? And I just had to pray like, okay, so I could have just waited for the Navy to do this. But, you know, this is years later, so I'm just like, I guess I'm supposed to go back home. So then I had to backtrack my whole email and say, I am coming home. I was so pissed. I was just like, okay. So I get to my duty station. It's like a 30-minute drive from my home. You know, you're there with people that don't know the area. And I'm like, I'm back home. This room in this barracks is too small. I'm not finna, like, I didn't have the college experience where you have to share the community bathroom and everything like that. So I was just over it. Like, I used to drive that 30-45 minute hour drive back and forth to the barracks or whatever. I remember getting in trouble with my sergeant, like, if you are late one time, like, we gonna make you stay on this base. And I'm like, oh man. So long story short, this ain't even a long story short because it's like 22 minutes. I don't even know why I keep on playing myself and saying that, but I want to give y'all the whole background. So the Army story is, I stayed on my duty station. I was almost at a year. It was like 11 months and some change. I remember doing a company run and running, feeling like my knees were gonna fall to the floor. That's never happened before. And a lot of people say, like, when you're a boot camp, like, you push yourself through certain things, but when you can, like, live a normal life, you know, have your own routine and rest in between, like.
Hey y'all, it's Tiffany here. This video was getting kind of long, so I decided to break it up into 2 parts. But stay tuned for part 2 because I am going back years of reminiscing as far as letting y'all know my background story and how I got to the point that I am now. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you in the next video shortly. Thanks, y'all.